Hey guys, I am Lana. This is from Corporate Crystals, and we are back for another video. Today's video is going to be about the Schumann resonance. I've talked about the Schumann resonance briefly before, but when I was at the beginning of my awakening journey, when I couldn't sleep and had no idea what was going on, and I was very confused, I was guided to learn about the Schumann resonance. And at first, I didn't know what the heck was going on. And I really just wanted to be able to sleep better. So I kind of didn't care. But I really started to understand that every time I was having sleep issues or I was physically experiencing like ascension symptoms, that's what I now know it to be called. At the time, I was just like, why can I not sleep? Like, why is it that I'm up at 1 a.m. and I literally can't get back to bed at all or until like 5 a.m. I'm a great sleeper, so I was getting very, very upset. So anyway, I was guided to research the Schumann resonance, and there are websites and apps that you can pull up the Schumann resonance grids or graphs, and I'll be showing you shortly a few of them. And it can tell you live data of what the Schumann resonance is like, what's going on with it right now in the moment. And so we just had a really big anomaly happen with the Schumann resonance, which is why I'm doing this video, because it's like historical information. And it also ties into the planetary ascension, which is what this journey is all about. So let's talk about it. What is the Schumann resonance? I'm going to share my screen to start. Okay, so when I was talking about, like, I would pull up the charts or graphs of the Schumann resonance live when I was having trouble sleeping, this is essentially a depiction of what those graphs would look like. On the left, any time it was like having, I would call these a spike. When it's this bright, pure white light, imagine those to be light codes. Anytime I was having or very, very often when I was having difficulty sleeping, I would pull up the Schumann resonance graph, and sure enough, it was one of these big surges of like Schumann resonance spikes, which essentially, as we learn further about the Schumann resonance, it's just a large quantity of energy that is being picked up, and these graphs are kind of like depicting that. On the right, you'll see that these are just kind of more normal graphs that aren't having like big spikes or big flashes of light on them. And then you'll notice all of the dates on these graphs are pulled within the last couple of years. So that is just for reference. Okay, so when we talk about Schumann resonances, what are we talking about? The Schumann resonances are a set of spectrum peaks in the extremely low frequency, ELF, portion of the Earth's electromagnetic field spectrum. Schumann resonances are global electromagnetic resonances generated and excited by lightning discharges in the cavity formed by the Earth's surface and the ionosphere. That's according to Wikipedia. So let's just call it out there that this is a very third dimensional way of perceiving what's going on. Okay. But I did like this visual, so I wanted to show you guys this video. This is essentially from the ionosphere to essentially the Earth's core, the electromagnetic spectrum of what is going on with the Schumann resonances. So those are the resonances, and then these graphs are simply depicting what is going on with those resonances. And so I just thought this was a cool visual. Shout out to Wikipedia. Schumann resonance. Does Earth's 7.83 hertz heartbeat influence our behavior? Yes, the Earth has a heartbeat, and scientists theorize that it could affect brain and nervous system activity. Let's explore one of the Earth's mysteries and how it affects human behavior. Now, this article is also very third dimensional perspective, but I'm going to skip down to the part that I thought was interesting. Scientists speculate that the waves are related to the electrical activity in the atmosphere. The base atmospheric electromagnetic resonance frequency is 7.83 hertz. This means our atmosphere is continuously resonating with a radio frequency of 7.83 hertz, along with progressively weaker harmonics at around 14.3, 20.8, 27.3, and 33.8 hertz. These oscillations are called the Schumann resonances. Okay, so essentially, let me pause for a second. these oscillations and these resonances are frequencies within the Earth's electromagnetic field, okay? And that's why they call it Earth's heartbeat, because similar to human beings, when we have, I'm not a medical person, but when we have something going on with our heart, they do that electric shock thing, whatever. My mom would be so embarrassed, I don't know what it's called. But when they shock us to like wake us back up, it's because we have electricity running through our body, okay? So similarly to that, every single thing has energy, electricity running through our body, or through its body. The Earth, the planet, being, of course, one of those things. So the Schumann resonance, the oscillations, the frequencies are depicted into these graphs in order for us to see them and track them and see what's going on, okay? And then when they're talking about 7.83 hertz, similar to those graphs I showed, let's just go back here. Okay, so like, let's say on the right-hand side, lows, there's not much activity going on. So these days might be 7.83 hertz days where there's just, it's very consistent. We're seeing similar things. There's not much to report, right? And then all of a sudden the area on the left, or spikes like this, would be throwing it into like having more activity than normal, okay? But these, no matter which one you look at, the left or the right, this is what has been operating on our planet for a very long time in regards to the graphs which are depicting the Schumann resonances, okay? So why are we talking about this, you know? Well, I want to show you guys what just happened with the Schumann resonance. So I'm going to pull this up. Okay, so it's a little bit hard to see, but on the left side of this visual at the top right here, you'll see that it says June 16th, 2023. And it looks really similar to some of the other charts I was just showing you guys on that other site. So blue, you know, kind of like spots of green. And then this would be considered like a spike with this like white in the middle, right? And it's like a pretty mild spike. It's nothing too crazy. Well, here we go through the 16th. We're now into the middle of this visual is June 17th, which is 2 days ago. And I'll tell you, over the last couple of days, I'm sure you guys have been feeling it too. The energy was super intense for me. I had headaches. I was exhausted. I really, you know, it's also really hot in Arizona. So I just like wasn't interested in really doing much of anything. And I just ended up doing a lot of like really low energy things and kind of like relaxing. Well, sure enough, the Schumann resonance was also going through a lot, let's just say, because on the 17th of June, this black section, we call that a blackout. So when people who track the Schumann resonance, or these graphs that track the Schumann resonance, when they have a blackout, that means something happened within the Schumann resonance field that the technology is having a difficult time picking up on. And I wouldn't say that this is like super uncommon. I would say since my awakening, we've had a pretty significant amount of blackouts, especially because of the planetary ascension. When there's a large flood of energy onto the planet, it's very likely that technology that was built in the third dimensional frequency is going to have a difficult time picking up on large, you know, let's call it like high frequency energy, something like that. So blackout moments on the Schumann resonance, I wouldn't say they're super abnormal, but to have one on the 17th, and then if you notice on the right, now we have a completely different visual representation of the Schumann resonance. So right after the blackout happened on the 17th of June, 2023, which was 2 days ago, we are now seeing on the, this graph is showing the 18th of June, 2023, which was yesterday. Look at the difference in these charts. This is what we are talking about when we are talking about the energetics of our planet just upgraded. This is like a manifestation, a physical manifestation that even the technology which monitors the electromagnetic field of our planet is officially showing validation in third dimensional perspective of what is going on with the planetary electromagnetic field, the grid of our planet. And if you notice, this is a completely different from the left to the right within a 24-hour time frame. And we now have a upgraded energetic system. Okay. Pretty freaking crazy. And then I wanted to show it in forms of, they took the colorway, which is especially interesting for anyone who's like into sacred geometry and kind of like gone down that rabbit hole. It's very, very interesting to compare the two. Essentially, like this is a visual representation of what just happened over the last 24 hours for the Schumann resonance, and then the patterning and geometry within it, right? Very, very interesting. So I wanted to share that because this is not only like really incredibly like historical. This has never happened for as many years as, I think it's been decades. I want to say since the 70s. They've been tracking the Schumann resonance in this way with graphs that they've never seen anything like this. Okay. And that is because the Earth has officially had an energetic shift. And everyone who's a part of the ascension for the planet, who have been actively managing the energy as a conduit, we all kind of like knew this was coming, but scientists who have been tracking this are now going to have a physical manifestation for them to figure out what just happened and why, and then it's going to have breakthroughs in science, which is really, really exciting because it'll allow science and spirituality to come together and learn from one another and like really elevate humanity to get some of this information out, because people need to understand like what the truth is, what is our reality. So yeah, I wanted to mention it because I thought it was really interesting. It also is interesting that the day that this shift happened was the day of the new moon in Gemini. It also was Father's Day. And when we're talking about like the energetics of our planet, I've talked a lot about the feminine and the masculine at creator level, at source, God source level. The feminine and the masculine come together and both create a third, okay? And Earth is a representation of physical manifestation, of like the mother and the father coming together and creating a third. Well, as this just happened, our electromagnetic field has been upgraded, and that energy is now going to impact every single person on the planet. And this is a visual to show kind of like what is going on, right? So it's really, really interesting because essentially this is a mile marker. This is like a milestone for anyone who is part of the planetary ascension. Like, this is the upgraded energetics that we have been waiting for. This is the timeline shift. This is like new Earth. And this is a physical manifestation into the third dimension of all of the energy work that's been going on in the higher dimensions now being seen, now being felt, now being experienced. And if you guys are feeling the energy, first of all, take really good care of yourself, drink lots of water, etc. But yeah, like you can feel it, you can see it. And also in regards to the rapture, we're in the rapture, okay? This is a visual representation that the planet's frequency has gotten to a place where it's been upgraded. And most people won't have any clue what that means or how it works, and that's okay. But what they are going to figure out very quickly is, now that this upgrade has happened, you either hop on or hop out. That is the rapture. You either participate in the new frequency, or your own physical frequency of your body no longer resonates with the planet. So you will actually be in a like karmic timeline. You'll be at a lower frequency operating kind of in like past energy. And if that makes sense. So it's like the rapture is not really what everyone thought it was going to be. It's really more about you yourself picking your own and working and healing to get your own physical vessel to a place where you can align to the frequency of the planet to elevate and ascend with the planet during the planetary ascension. And there are people who were key holders to lock that in for the planet. I've talked about how I am one of them, and most of the twins are. And as they did their own physical ascension, it helped the planet get to this place. Now that it is in place and kind of like locked in, the frequencies are now available for all of humanity to tap into. But because most of humanity's physical vessel is not ready for fifth dimensional frequency, they have to ascend. They have to do the work. They have to heal. They have to make the changes in their physical reality in order to hop onto that timeline, in order to participate in that frequency. That is the rapture. The rapture is everyone making individual choices within their own consciousness and within their own reality of how they want to operate, what they're choosing to do in this lifetime or not do, and what frequency they're going to operate at moving forward. And their reality is going to reflect back to them their own frequency. So I wanted to share this. Okay, so this is the map of consciousness. This specific one is by David R. Hawkins. You'll notice at the bottom, we're talking about the name level, which is shame, the energetic frequency, which is indicated as 20, the associated emotional state of shame is humiliation, the view of life within that frequency, miserable, okay? And you can go up the scale of consciousness to the higher frequency levels and you get to enlightenment. Enlightenment within this range of 700 to 1,000. And then the associated emotional state, ineffable. And then view of life is, everything just is. It is as it is, okay? So what's happening right now is people who have ascended on behalf of the collective and locked in them their own consciousness, they are in these higher states of consciousness. And that is why they see things very differently. That's why they've experienced things completely differently, because their consciousness level is at such a different level than majority of the collective, which is in basically, I would say, courage and below, like pride and below. Most are operating from one of the lower consciousness levels. But so let's say, just for, example purposes, right now, if you're a human being or you think you're a human being and you're in fear in the third dimensional reality, you don't know that there's any other realities, you don't know that you can ascend, you don't know that there's other dimensions, you are straight up in the third dimension chilling. Right now, with everything going on the news and the whatever, it's very easy to operate out of fear. And that is literally by design. That is why they have so much information pumping to everybody for everyone to latch onto specific frequencies in order to not allow people to ascend, because we are in the rapture. So we have Luciferian agendas, which are trying to keep people in the lower consciousness levels to steal souls. It's not a joke. So if we have majority of the collective operating out of fear, then those individuals are operating out of an emotional state of anxiety, and their view of life is frightening. They're unable to grasp the adventure of life. They're unable to grasp that the changes on the planet are the evolution of our planet, of our humanity, and of the planet, essentially. And they're not even understanding that they can elevate their own consciousness to get in a more, a higher frequency. They can elevate their emotional state to be in a place of bliss and serenity, even while things around them are shifting and changing and evolving, right? That is a huge part of what the rapture is it's everybody owning their frequency and choosing, who am I? What do I want to do in this life? Do I care about my soul? And how do I want to feel and how do I want to operate for myself and others, right? Do I want to be in fear? Because if you're in fear, everyone around you will also pick up on your energetic frequency. And you know how they say you're the same as like the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most or something like that? Well, if all of you are in fear, then all of you are resonating at the same energetic frequency. So none of you are going to grow. None of you are going to change. And that is exactly what the problem is. People who are in the 3rd dimensional consciousness and they don't know that there's anything else, if they're stuck in fear or stuck in these lower level consciousness levels and emotions, and they don't know that they can heal to ascend out of it, then they won't. And then they are stuck in a place where they are not connected to God. God is love. So when you're not connected to God and you're not connected to love, you're actually connected to the opposite. You're playing for the other team, right? And when you're playing for the other team and not operating out of love, then you're choosing to dismiss love. You're choosing to neglect your soul. You're choosing to play God, because God is love. So if you're not choosing love, if you're not actively working towards love, being love, feeling love, participating in love, then you're actually participating in anti-God consciousness levels, whether you mean to or not, right? So humanity has to, every individual soul has to take ownership of their own frequency and their own consciousness level. That is how you navigate the rapture. And if you are in fear and you're in this 100 frequency fear consciousness level, then you are going to attract more things that will bring fear to you, because that is your frequency. That is how this works. When you operate from a place of fear, you get more fear. You're basically, that is your, you know how they say, oh, that doesn't resonate, or like, oh, that does resonate. What is happening is when you are in a specific frequency, you are only attracted to things of a similar frequency. So if you're in fear, then you're only attracted to other things in fear. Everything else feels a little uncomfortable to you. It feels foreign. It feels like it doesn't resonate. You don't understand it. And it's because you yourself are in a lower frequency of fear. And so like attracts like. That is what is happening on the planet. And that is why we have to share this information, so that people can actually understand how to ascend and how to heal themselves energetically to get their frequency out of fear and into the higher frequencies, in order to save their soul in the rapture, in order for them to stop attracting additional fear realities within their timeline. In order for them to hop into the 5th dimensional timeline to participate in heaven on earth, rather than being stuck in the matrix, which is rapidly crumbling. And as it's crumbling, it's going to promote more fear for anyone who is not actively working on healing themselves and raising their vibration and their frequency. If you're not ascending, then you're going to get into one of these frequencies and you're just going to stay there, because you're choosing not to grow. And you're choosing not to, you're choosing to sell your soul, right? And when you choose to sell your soul, you're essentially saying, no, I don't care about love. I don't care about feeling good. I don't care about whatever. I'm going to stay in fear. I'm going to stay in shame. I'm going to stay in, these lower consciousness levels because I'm comfortable. And that's fine. Everyone can choose that. It is free will. And if people want to sell their soul is making that decision. That's okay. I would prefer people not do that, but it's their choice. It's free will planet. But what they don't understand is that they're just going to attract more of that same frequency, especially as the planet continues to ascend. it's just going to have systems collapsing, and those systems collapsing because they're going into, we're rebuilding in a higher frequency moving forward. We're in a revolution. The planet is evolving. The frequency is no longer aligned to the past systems and programs that were built in a lower frequency of fear, for example. As people wake up and as people raise their consciousness level, and as our systems and programs are recreated in a higher frequency, then people who are stuck in the lower consciousness levels, they're going to just keep attracting more fear, more shame, whatever their lower consciousness level is. And they're going to be really lost and confused as to why their reality is just constantly like beating them up. And they're going to be stuck in victim mentality, not understanding it's their choice. They're choosing which consciousness level they want to be at. And so they just keep getting it put on repeat. If you're in fear, you're going to get more things that promote fear, because it's trying to get you to see where you're at. That way you make the change, because you're not a victim. You're actually fully in charge. You just choose. How do you want to respond? How do you want to be? What emotional state do you want to be in? If you're not connected to your heart, it's going to be a very, very hard time for people. Because if you're not connected to your feelings at all, your feelings are a huge part of being able to figure out what consciousness level you're in or what frequency you're in, so you can change and you can grow and you can evolve. It's little messengers for us. So I wanted to say that. First of all, it's super exciting because the Schumann Resonance has never looked like this ever. So it definitely is like a historical moment, and we're all going to like figure out what that means together. But additionally, new moon in Gemini, Father's Day, the Divine Father is now fully rising in his power. That all paired with this physical manifestation of the Schumann Resonance graphs depicting a timeline shift. This is really exciting. And so I wanted to put this video out. That way, if anybody hadn't seen this yet, at least now you can see it. And then if anybody needed some like help articulating this, either for yourself or so you can share it with other people, maybe this video will help you do that. Okay? All right, I love you guys. I will see you on the next video. Bye.